And let's get going. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to London to New York crossover with Harmonic Scanner and the Ninjacator.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Helen. Excuse me. Let me just start sharing screen. Sorry, I was slightly late. It wouldn't take the live stream. First of all, I had to repeat it. So let's have a look at what we've got. So let me just show you two trades I took today. I've already done 32 pips. The first one was GBP USD, and I didn't go back to it. I got out there. I did my usual. Well, I did 15 pip stop loss because it's a GBP pair. It didn't quite cover me. I got in a bit late. It did cover me on the quarter theory, but not oh, screen's a bit slow. That's it. Not across the, ideally I would have had the stop loss covering that pitchfork, the white trend line pitchfork as I call it, off the Harmonic Scanner. And then as soon as price moved down, I moved it to one or two pips just past the stop loss, so it was a risk-free trade. Then I moved it down 5 pips as it moved down, and I came out at just past 20 pips. So I came out where it hit an old pitchfork, and then it did stall across the new pitchfork and quarter theory. You can see how well it respected that, and then it dropped down to the next quarter theory at 130,500, where it's currently rejecting off that and the pitchfork. So that was a nice little trade this morning. And then
Sarah?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Morel here.
Hello, hi.
Hello. Just wanted to ask you, because I've just been learning about the exit manager. I haven't used it yet. Did you use the exit manager when you moved your stop losses, or did you do it manually?
I do it manually. I am going to put the exit manager on for some trades. I did used to use it, and then I stopped using it. But when I trade, I try and get in and out of trades as quickly as possible. I think it depends on your trading style. I'm at home all day, and I like to do my trades as quickly as I can. I'm an intraday hybrid scalper. So on this one, for example, if I'd been on this section between these two orange lines and that pitchfork, and I could see it was stalling out, and I had still a strong downward trend, plus see how the 62 moving average has crossed the 15-minute there, right on the pitchfork. Perfect entry for a stack-in trade. I could have stacked in another trade risk-free with no stop loss, and there's another 50 pips. So that's how I do the swing trading.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
But I do like the exit manager, and as I say, I am going to put it on for some of the trades, because sometimes you get stuck in one for 3 or 4 hours, and you know, you can't kind of do anything about that. So if you can close out at that 50%, leave the rest to run, then yeah, it's great. It's a very good tool.
Okay, brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, so that was GBP USD. So I'll just see what it's doing at the moment. So on the 15-minute, it's stalling out on 2 pitchforks plus quarter theory. That says to me it doesn't like that level. Very strong levels of support and resistance there at, let me write that down. Oh, naughty girl, I haven't checked Forex Factory, and I seem to remember there was some news. Yes, USD, I'm on Paris time, so 3 p.m, just at the end of this session, we've got USD news. So we want to think very carefully before entering any trade, really from now, an hour before. Hang on, I always get muddled up on the time. So we've got 2 hours, 2 hours just about. So that could be a nice little buy trade. At the moment, price is at, we'll put the Ninjacator on, 1.30500 is the quarter theory. I go down to the 1 minute just to see exactly what's happening. So we've had, and I need to see, I've had a break of 10 pips that it's solidified. and it's broken, so it's not 20 pips, it's about 13 or 15. So that was at 12 o'clock UK time to 1 o'clock UK time. We had a break and a retest of that level, and now it's saying it doesn't like quarter theory, and so once it's above that 62, we'll put the indicator on, but that's very similar to the 50 line in the Bollinger Bands on the indicator, and I can see there another old line of support and resistance coming through as well. So let's see where our indicator is. So that's had a SAR flip, and we've got a flat bottom candle, but not a great deal of volume. But we have got some distance between that and the 50 line, which is that little purple one. And let's have a look at the stochastic, see how far up that's on. I'm only on the 1 minute, so I will need to go up a time frame. So that's still saying it's got some room to move up there. And on the 15-minute, well, we've got a wiki candle. Oh, haven't changed candles. Change them to high Kanashi. That's still a wiki candle. So on the 15-minute, there's quite wide Bollinger Bands and SAR flip. Where's that? We've had the SAR flip, but we haven't had a flat bottom candle. It is in the extreme down here, and the blue, the buyers are on top. So I'm quite liking the look of that for a buy. I don't know what anyone else thinks. If you've got your indicator on, please say what you think. If you anything we're discussing. So it is in the extreme. We just want to have a nice sort of 45-degree angle, like you can see there. And I should think that's wanting to turn because of the number of rejections. So on the 15-minute, you've had, if you take that one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lots, 150. So that's over 2 hours of rejections off that line there. So then we'll just see what it's doing further. Let me see if that's flipped. That probably hasn't flipped yet. My little red green bands thing. So that's saying green on the 15-minute, which is the band at the back. The Hull multi-time frame analysis, it's just an indicator I use. So that's saying that price is wanting to go upwards. You can see how it is, like all indicators, a lagging indicator. But you can see, you know, it's come down, it wants to go up. So just take that off so we don't get too many things on. And we'll go back to the scanner, so maybe we can look at something from beginning to end. Just take that to the, and there it is saying, but this is on the 1 minute, mind you. So on the 1 minute, although it's nearly saying it's overbought. Obviously, I'm on a very low time frame. I'm looking for it to come just above that 62, and then I think there's a buy there. But I don't want to be in a trade too long in view of news in 2 hours. That's all. But I do like all those confirmations that we've got there on that. So let's put. I wonder if I put how we could come back to that if I put an alert. If I put it there. I don't know, that looks quite good now, doesn't it? It's moving. It's not in the extreme on the 5 minute, but we have got quite wide Bollinger Bands. got quite wide Bollinger Bands. We've just got what you call a doji candle there, and it isn't a flat bottom. I can see a tiny wick on that one, and the SAR hasn't flipped again. It's flipped back on the 5 minutes, but we've got quite a bit of room from the bottom of that to the 50. From there to the 50, there's 15 pips. So might be a good little short trade. If someone wants to keep an eye on that, then tell me if you think we should get in. That would be good. I've forgotten now how you put an alert on the Ninjacator for it to tell you. Do you just click on that and then add alert and then put it on the sell side?
Yeah, that's right, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks, Debs. Just that one sell alert, not the sell 80.
Yeah, forget the 80 and the 20. Yeah.
Thank you. So just only once, leave all that. Right, let's do that then on the 5 minute and wait for a flip, and then we might get in that for, because I can see there I've got an old pitchfork as well. If I go to settings and just bring that one up, then that would give us one pitchfork, the quarter theory, plus another pitchfork, plus about 5, 10, 15 pips, probably 5 to 10, 5 maybe, between us and the 50, even up to the next pitchfork, which is near my 62. Because it would be nice to actually do a live trade. And I just want to go back and see what pitchfork that's coming off, which scan that purple one is. Because I know this morning, it doesn't really matter which one that purple one is actually. I was just wondering if it was valid, because sometimes if you don't put the magnet on, you do have to not have an ego. Just double check things haven't slipped. And they all look fine. It's that it's coming off there. They all look like they're on the right bits. On that purple. Can't see myself. I've got so many scans on this one. Star Wars. So I'm pretty sure that is okay. Okay, so you can see that price completed its move. We were in that on Thursday, that news last week. And it went all the way up. You see how it's gone all the way up to 1.322000. That's called a whole number in quarter theory. Price will always want to move between big whole numbers. So it started its move, and I'm going to go through this on a video. I've just been preparing a short video on why quarter theory is so powerful. It started its full move at 1.3 flat, that level of quarter theory there, and then it moved all the way up, and it completed the move at the next whole number. It's called a whole number, where it's all the zeros. And you know, that's a perfect illustration of quarter theory in action, and how price will want to move between the whole numbers. So price could say it wants to come all the way back down, but because we've looked at our confirmations that we've just gone through, it's saying I think it's saying it doesn't want to do that at the moment. It wants to come back up to this one. But that was a fairly recent scan. That one that was from last week. That was only a day or two before we had that big news announcement with the Bank of England rates and leaving the EU. So that's GU, and then the other one that I took was EN, and this was just a little trade that perhaps didn't quite conform to the rules. But I'll just show it to you, and we can have a look and see if there's anything on that at the moment. Let me take that off there. So why did I get into this trade? Because I'm not right up. Ideally, I would have gotten up here because it's off a pitchfork and quarter theory, and I would have had my stop loss above those two invisible walls, protecting me from price being able to break back through and take me out on a 10 pip stop loss. But I got in because I had been looking at it, and I think it was a fairly big scan. That may have been why. Between pitchforks, I mean, so that was between each leg of the pitchfork. That's right, it's 100 pips. So when you've got a pitchfork that's that big, instead of say 20, the minimum leg between those two purple lines that I would take, at that point I say to myself, I'll take a trade halfway up or down, because otherwise you're missing out. So when price, you're missing out for a long time till it comes down to that whole next level or up to the whole next level. So it was a downward scan. It's come underneath two powerful lines. The 62 did cross below, but then it failed to reach that quarter point and come through it. So it kind of, you know, it is quite a pair that moves quite fast, I think, this one. So it came back up, but then the 62 crossed over, and at this point I thought, well, I think I'll go for a cheeky 10 pips, but I marked it at 20. But actually I was thinking to myself, I was a bit nervous about taking a trade halfway between the 2 points. So I thought to myself, I'm just going to do a 10 pipper on this. So I got it, I've left it here to show you. So I got in as it, after it had crossed. Again, I was a little bit late to it. And then I put my hull on, because that shows me a 1 minute flip. And if I get 2 flips of a reversal, then I'm out. But it stayed red, as you can see, all the way through. So I'll take that off so you don't have to suffer all those colors as well. Now, when it got to 10 pips, you can see I've circled it because it stalled. And I actually very pleased I got out of that point. So if I hadn't have got out of that point, I had moved my stop loss to a risk-free trade. So it would have taken me out anyway at 1 pip there. You can see it did wick back up. So, you know, you've got to give yourself a bit of room to breathe, but you get so fed up giving money back to the market that you try to always put a stop profit in, and then, you know, well, at least you're at break even. But that might not necessarily have stopped me from re-entering if I saw it was still under the 62 EMA. But anyway, I wasn't stopped out because I got out at the 10 pips. But if I'd given it more room to breathe, just left it at the 10 pip stop loss, because it had hit the 10 pips, my alert went off. So I thought, well, I'll get out. And that's normally when I'll move it to a 1 pip stop loss. It stayed under the 62. It hit quarter theory. That could have been another indication. You see it stalling there. It stalled, that's on the 1 minute, it stalled from 11:30 your time to 10 to 12. So for 20 minutes it stalled out, and you're thinking, oh, I don't know, what's it going to do? Then it came back up to retest the 62. Now you might have got a bit nervous there and got out, so me included. So then you're back at your 10 pips where you were 10 to 12 till 10 to 1, you know, an hour earlier. You've sat, you know, chewing your pencil over this one. And this is why when you get in a trade, you've got to decide, well, how am I going to get out? What am I after? So I decided I was only after 10 pips. I got a little bit nervous. I was halfway between the two, and I thought I knew I was going to get out then. Glad I did, because I didn't have the time or the patience really to sit and all that. But if I had, it did in fact go the 20 pips. And in fact, it's slipped through the quarter theory, but it's coming back up the other side. So that's some of my decision making on trades. And I'll just clean up some of that. We'll have a look at, see if it's doing anything at the moment. I don't think we've got a trade at the moment that I would want to take on EN, because the 62 is still well below the 15. It has bounced off quarter theory. You know, it's one of those halfway house trades. So it's not a trade that is I think is particularly good. I don't want to sit back in that while you're on the call. And as I say, I just grabbed that 10 pips mainly because I saw that crossover there between the big legs on the pitchfork. And you know, this has already happened. So that worked. So I'm going to get rid of not get rid of it. I'm just going to close it because that helps speed up our system. Which one's that? That is Euro JPY. I was looking at it as sell. This was early hours of this morning. I've marked it up what I wanted it to do, and sure enough, it didn't make its move in Asian session, but it made its move. There you are. It's done a break and a retest, sort of round about here, and you know, it's done its move there. It's now this is on the 1 minute, broken and retested that pitchfork and quarter theory, come above the 62, so it's working its way back up here at the moment, but it's in between a smaller scan, so I don't want to take a trade on that. But we could put the indicator on. Just take those off, and that was my alert, which I ignored because I was asleep. Okay, let's just quickly put the indicator on and move it up to the 15-minute. Give it a moment to load. So at the moment it's saying sell, although we've had a SAR flip down there. Move our stochastic up. So a nice point here, which always, as you know, gives me great feelings of interest, because it's got a pitchfork and a quarter theory, and it's saying buy. Although it's quite high up, it's in the purple box. It was in the extreme at this point here. So normally for a great trade, we would say wait until it's below that 20 point, saying it's oversold and it wants to come back up, or above 80 outside the purple box to say, like this point here, it's overbought and it wants to sell. And that will vary according to your time frames. So if we look at Euro JPY on the 30-minute, it's at the bottom. We've still got the sell and the SAR hasn't flipped. But there's what we don't like about this is it's quite narrow bands constricting now on the Bollinger. Otherwise they're quite, and I don't think there's many pips between that. Oh, there's the purple line, just it was slow to load, between that and the purple line. Just pull that out a bit. So the 50 is following the 62. They're pretty spot on at the moment. So if we got our measuring tool and said, well, okay, how many pips have we got from there to there? There's 10 pips. It doesn't give us a lot of room for maneuver, you know, but there are maybe a few pips there on Euro JPY. It's not a trade that particularly I like that GBP look of that one a bit better. I thought it was wider on the Bollinger Bands, because you have to look at the pattern of the candles, not just flat bottom. But you know, have you got some, you know, you want nice candles, don't you? You certainly don't want the wicks. None of the wicks. That's all rubbish. It's all fudge. You know, you don't want any of that. And we are moving into New York, so we are out of session technically for Euro and JPY. I don't think I particularly like the look of that one. We might go to the scanner only because I want to see if I can take you through, you know, is there, you know, how we look at the scanner and how I've then transposed that. So that's, you know, and how I can trade off the levels. So this is 89% accurate, independently verified over 100,000 scans. They're different scan shapes: crab, butterfly, Gartley, shark and bat. Don't ask me what that means. I think Gartley's named after the person that invented it, but beyond that I don't know. And then at the D point, has it moved 20? It's moved 29. And I know this was valid. It was over 200 pips because I drew it earlier on. So you can come to the scanner. You find that through your IM center. And then im.center, go to strategies on the left-hand side, click on that left-hand menu. Then you will scroll down and you will see all the products on the left. You see one of them called Harmonics, which was created by the founder of this company, where we get the tools from. And you can simply take the trade as it is. You've got your stop loss, your entry, take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3. Because what a scan is it's working off reversals in the market. So this is a scan saying that it's now in buy mode, it's completed its move, its sell move down to a low point. So a scan will always go from a low to a high to a low to a high to a low, or vice versa. So that's a great start point for the scanner. But just wait until you've got either you use something called the Fibonacci here, and you put a, I won't do it, but you put a 15% fib on, or you do the lazy person's way, which is what I do, which is just D point, has it moved 20? Now this is pipettes on the end, the right side of the decimal point. So this means it's moved 32 pips. So that's fine. I say that's good to go. It means it's solidified as a scan. And the only one to beware of is a shark, because the D point can keep moving until it decides it has bottomed out on the price move. So let's go to GN next, because we've got a new scan that I've just drawn on this morning. And here it is. So here it is on the, yeah. Hello? Anyone? Someone talking to me, or is that just someone's not muted? That's okay. So if you look at this on the hourly, there's the scan that I drew. And if we go to the 15-minute, then you can see I'd marked it for it to do a break and a retest and go up. But at the moment, it's decided it's going down. Now, if you're going to ask me, does that mean it's failed? I don't think it does mean it's failed at this point necessarily. Sorry, this is the only way I know to get rid of brush marks. So at the moment, it's wandering around down here. But if you look back at the scanner, it hasn't, if it falls right down to 2.01111, then it's a failed scan, because it's just dropped off the end. It's not held. It should do, because it's moved to 20 pips. So I'll just go back to it, and let's look down on the 1 minute, and let's see what this is. I'm going to sneeze in a minute, sorry. At the moment, it's hugging the 62, and it's oh, sorry. It's sorry, thank you. I've not been very well with a cough this week, so I had to stop a video the other evening because the dog decided to throw his bowl around and he wanted feeding and started barking, and then I coughed in the middle of one. So it's hugging the 62, and then it is trying to break above it, and it's hugging back. So let's put, if I put my hull indicator on, just see if it is green. It is green on the hull, so it is trying to turn. But I don't think I wanted to see if we could take a trade off this D point while we were on today, but while it's still below that quarter theory and below that, for me personally, it's not a trade I'd be interested in, because if it is coming back up, I'm on the 1 minute, it's got 17 pips up to that quarter point. Now I know when we did the news, we all traded the news, the GBP USD, and I compared it with Les. We were chatting about it the night before. He took his entry much lower. He ended up getting 100 pips. I got 54 because I waited for my rules, and that was here. So I got in when price on the, that's on the hourly. So you just have to decide what your rules are and try and stick to them, because it's when you don't stick to them that your trades get in trouble. And that includes one of the worst crimes of all, which I think is moving your stop loss, you know, because that's all, that's just kind of like makes you so stressed if you do that. I wanted to show you the 31st. I'll just take that off at the moment while we look at that, and the SARS, while we look at where we were on that move. So it was this move here. Let's wait for quarter theory to move to yeah, that should be loading. So when I got in this move there, which was the Bank of England news thing that we traded, I waited until it had got above my pitchfork and quarter theory, which is just being very slow to load, but it is there. It's at this point here, 1.310. It's there because those are my rules, whereas Les had followed a longer term strategy on the sniper strategy, I think, and he had worked out his, no, he'd followed his banker's strategy, and he had his bottom out figure down here. And yeah, you know, it's equally valid. It's just whatever system you learn, you know. So that's what I stuck to. I wish quarter theory would load, because then I could show you the power of it, how price will always make its major moves from the major quarter points, which are the ones with the zeros. It's very, very powerful, but I can't show you that. So GN, not a trade for me until it gets back into above this quarter theory. I'm not interested until it's, I'm going to put a trend line on there. But if you've got your indicator on, you know, you might say you're going to, you see, I don't like doing that, because although it's trying to break above, what are the pivots saying? Is it forming? We want it to form. It hasn't changed, has it? Because we want it to form higher highs and higher lows to show the channel is going upwards. And at the moment, it's virtually level there, and then it's still dipped down there. So it's kind of trying to turn, but it doesn't really know what it's doing. It's just playing around at the moment. So I don't like taking trades that are doing that.
So Sarah, can I just check with you, when you said if for you want it to pass that quarter theory line, is that the 2.02?
Yeah, that one. They're always orange dotted.
Okay,
because things like Fibonacci, Fibonacci. If we wanted to put a Fibonacci on this, and I don't always do it, because it's quite easy to get confused with Fibonacci. You know, it's kind of where do you put them? You know, you know, they can, Fibonacci can move 204, 206. So whereas quarter point theory is consistent, it's always at the same numbers, because I'll do a video on it. I was just putting it together before I came on this call. Quarter theory works off exchange rates and points between like Euro USD or GBP USD trading at 1.50 or 1.40. That's all quarter theory. Whereas the Fibonacci works off all these different, you know, you can stick a Fibonacci virtually anywhere, although you should do it from past to present, high to low for a sell, or low to high for a buy. So if we looked at this, I'd then be saying, well, has it hit any of these to reverse off? And yes, it's almost touching the 78.6 there. In fact, it is touching really. And I've stuck it up there, but do I stick it there? You know, I've got a choice really. So Fibonacci is a movable feast, whereas quarter point, I like it so much because it's always at it's 1,000 pip range on the whole move, and then it comes down to 100 pips, 50 pips, 25 pip moves. I don't go down as low as the 25. So I'm just going to stick an alert on that. So I think that's what I would do, is I'd wait for that to turn. You could then say, once it's above quarter theory, that you might take a little trade up to the D point, but I like to stay within the D point myself. But there is a, if you're depending on your appetite and what confirmations you've done with your indicator, there is 10 pips there, but it's not kind of trade I would take. But as I say, Les got in on different confirmations, and he made more pips, and he was down below this point when we did the GBP one. So it's just people's different systems. So I'm just going to make a note of GN from 2.02000 up to there, 2.02134, and then you'd put a stop loss, as it's a GBP you'd pair, you probably want it below your previous low, so you put a long position on for a buy, and let's put that about there. There's your, you see that's 20 pips, so you're risking, in theory, you're risking 20 to make 14 or 15, which doesn't make sense to me. So you'd want it to come up through here, so at least you've got 1-to-1. And again, I wouldn't like that trade, because I'd say, well, it's got to break through that pitchfork in order for me to at least get 1-to-1. I wouldn't want to put just 10 on it, because that's too tight for a GBP pair. It doesn't take me below the previous low. And you can see the market is saying it's changing. But do you see what I mean? You've got to kind of cover where you think you're safe and how many pips you can get, but make it a sensible risk to reward ratio. Because you know, why would you have a 35 pip stop loss to make 20 or 10? It's too much. You wouldn't go in a betting shop and do that, would you? I mean, it was just, you know, the odds would be, you'd say, you know, there'd be no point. So and it's got to get through quarter theory. So you know, that's how you kind of need to make decisions on your trades. Right, so let's go to something else. Have a quick look back in on what's happening on our GU. Well, I think that's still working its way up, which is quite nice. Quite slowly at the moment. So just give it. Let's write that down, because I forgot to write it down. GU at price 1.30591. Let's put a long position on up to that next old pitchfork. So you needn't be as precise as this, just try and get your 5 or 10, especially if you're new, but 1.30794, because remember, it's got to come, you won't have this pitchfork, but that is, you can draw on what Paul calls the pointy bits. For your lines of support and resistance, it has got to get through various lines of support and resistance. And then on the, look at the settings on the stop loss. So let's put profit level 200, stop level. If we tried that at, this has got what you call a pipette at the end. That's why it's 150, means 15 pips. It's the right side of the right hand side of the decimal point. So that's quite nice on 15 pips down at 1.30443, because that's covering you on quarter theory and that pitchfork. But we don't want to get into it until it's covered that old pitchfork there. And then it should be making a little move back up. But remember, you've got USD news coming up, which is probably going to scupper the whole thing. Let's save that. What should we go to next? Euro USD. That's in the middle of nowhere for me, but as far as I can see at the moment, but we'll put the indicator on. And we'll go to the 15-minute. Let's try this one on the BYOB. Let me just fade that out. Just old lines we don't need to see. We don't need to be looking at that. Okay, so stochastic. That's near the bottom, but it's still in the purple box, and it's still saying sell. The SAR hasn't flipped, and we haven't got it in the extreme. What I do like about this, no, what I don't like about this, or I do like, do I like it or don't I like it? Well, what we've got here is we've got the 62 above the 15, and it's come above the pitchfork and the quarter theory. But at the moment, the 62 is dipping back down. So it's, let's see what the 5 minutes says. Very narrow Bollinger Bands, haven't we? On the 5 minute consolidation, a buy there, but we wouldn't have wanted to have got into that because you're so close. Look at it right along the 50. It's just doing nothing basically. But let's just go to the 30-minute. And the 30-minute, the 62 is working its way up to this point here. So keep an eye on this one. It has been outside the purple one. This is a slower trade because we've gone up to the 30-minute. And remember, you have got that USD news coming up. Let's put our Heikenhashi on. Let me get, I'm going to get rid of some of those because I don't ever use them. It's a little fad that I had. That might help. I was hoping that might help us not have so many indicators covering our screen. Right, okay, so we've got, when would we take this trade? So it said buy right down there, it said sell. So certainly you've got to wait for your SAR flip. Has it done that? Nope, it's still on a downward. So it might come back down to, let's write this down, for Euro USD, bearing in mind the news, 1.10500 is your quarter theory and a pitchfork. So if you get a SAR flip and it turns there, this is working on the 30-minute, then that's a possible buy. Because at the moment it looks to me like that 62, and you can see the 50, the little purple one has crossed the 15-minute, the moving average of price. So it looks like it wants to work its way back up, and it may come back up to that previous high. So you'd be looking for an exit at, so take profit up at 1.10942, but you need to be that precise because look, you can see how that figure drops as the pitchfork moves down. So just look for your sort of 5 or 10 pips. Let me see how many, if it did retest off there, there's the outer edge of the Bollinger Band up to there. Oh, it's quite a lot of pips, 40 pips between there and there. So that's a possible. But that does mean that the euro's, you know, going to stop this kind of consolidating, and it does seem to have made its move in London session, which is what euro does. But who knows? Can't remember what speed euro USD moves at a 5, so consistent in the middle. Right, so what else can we look at last of all? What else looks good today? I don't know what else looks good today. Let me look at my sheet. We could look at one more, unless anyone's got any suggestions. I'm very happy to look at anything. USD CAD. No, because we've got news coming up, haven't we? Perhaps not pick one of those. Let's pick GBP CAD then. GBP CAD, Great British Pound, Canadian Dollar. Let's give it a moment to load. I haven't looked at this at all today, this one. This is on the 15-minute. And I haven't got it, it's not sitting in any, I haven't got it in a scan. So it's not one I can kind of comment on. I can do if I put the BYOB on. So we seem to have it heading back down. I have got caught out before where I've taken trades where, say I was taking this for a sell or thinking about it for a sell. I have caught out where I've taken it where the 62 hasn't crossed over this moving average. These are just basically what you call rolling lines of support and resistance. So when you're putting on and drawing horizontal lines across pointy bits, ceilings and floors at the top or the bottom, these things are exactly the same. They're just what you call taking a rolling average across a number of days. In this case, 62 days, and in this one, it's on the 15-minute. It's just showing it on the 15-minute time frame. So price has come under the quarter theory there. Let's put our indicator on, change our candles to Heikin-Ashi, and really you just follow the same. I actually find some days trading quite comforting because it's just like driving a car, just putting the same things on. So we did indeed, and let's put the stochastic on. We did indeed have a sell. That was last week. So that's been going down for a while. And this is saying buy, so there's a reversal going on. But personally, I wouldn't want to take that because I'm so respectful of the quarter theory. So to me, I'd want to see it just get above that. So say we said entry at 1.73, that's what that is, 1.73. Then we have got it in the extreme there. The SAR has just flipped. I think I need to see if I can magnify that, if we can have a better look at it. But we have got quite wicky little candles, haven't we? And you can see there it's just been bouncing along the bottom, although it is moving up. So just keep an eye on that, wait for it to get above there. You want some more, you want some bigger candles. You don't want these little wicky things. Look, can you see like there? It's just going all the way along. No, but there you've got a nice, there is that point there, that half move there, quite nice solid candles. But you can see it's not in the extreme, and this is why you can't just look at the indicator on buy, sell, buy, sell. Oh, and that's just gone off. Right, so let's have a look on the 15-minute. So that's in the extreme, it is going up. This is on the 15-minute. Let me put the zoom on so you can see it better on your screens. Put the SAR flip on. Had the SAR flip, but you've still got wicky candles. So wait until you've got the solid bottom on the candle. But that does look like it's starting to turn on the 15-minute, and on the 5-minute. Let's move that along a bit. So we wrote down some figures for that. It's coming up to the hour. You can see the SAR's flip back again. So, and it's still in the middle of the purple box on the 5-minute, and on the 30-minute, it's bottomed out. It is coming in the right direction. It's crossed quarter theory, and it's coming up here into the just above. I move that along. That's the old pitchfork. So don't get confused by that. It is starting to come up, doing what it's meant to do, I think. But you just need to see it do a bit more of a reversal. And obviously, you want the SAR flip, the flat bottom candle, and you want some more volume, what we call volume in the candle. So look, you can see on the way down, you had nice shaped candles, nice pattern, a nice pattern there. So you could take that once you get in, you know, you can take it up to possibly, if we put that, just look at that point there at, let me write that down, 1.30800, because it's crossing an old pitchfork. So just keep an eye on whether it stalls out, what it does at that point. And then your next point you're looking at to keep an eye on 1.31000 to get out there, or it might even go right up and touch that. Should do according to the scan we looked at, which is 1.31122. And then make sure your stop loss covers you. This is a GBP pair, covers you on a pitchfork or one of your lines of support and resistance. You won't have pitchforks, or the quarter theory. So you've got some invisible lines, but make it about a 15 pip stop loss on a GBP pair, because it can stop you out. So if we just refresh our memory back on the harmonic scanner. Sorry, that was GN, beg your pardon. I thought I had GU, but that'll be an older one. Sorry. So that's all from me for today. Hopefully some of these will set up. So it's Sharon coming on next, and I hope that you found that helpful. Quite happy to take any questions if anyone's ever got any questions, rather than me just rattling on. Or you can message me, do reach out to me, and I'll be doing a short video on the principles of quarter theory and why it's so powerful. I've half prepared it. I did do one, but the dog barked all the way through. You're very welcome. Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate you for joining. See you all soon.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Thank you.